The 8 is stopped around there. It is open. We are looking to close that Fairmont and Mission Gorge exit. As you can see, I have one of the Caltrans traffic cams up to see some of this. Right when it started, we were on this. As you can see, some of those that traffic is not allowing fire apparatus to make its way to that scene. So we're looking to flush out that traffic.
All right, Mark. Thank you, Mark Lucille, for monitoring the traffic. Stay with us. We will be checking back in with you in a little bit. I do want to get to Adam Rakusin right now, who's standing by in our weather department. Adam, I know you're going to be checking the temps for tonight as well as some of the wind speeds in the area. What do we know, Adam?
Yeah, well, a lot of what you're looking at right now from that fire is going to be the fuel that's burning, that vegetation, because the wind speeds in San Diego right now aren't all that much that we're seeing. So if you see in La Jolla right there off the coast, the wind that we're seeing is from the coast pushing in about 15-mile-per-hour gusts in La Jolla, 3 to 4-mile-per-hour gusts as we're looking closer to San Diego. Down in the South Bay, also seeing those 10-mile-per-hour gusts, but not a whole lot going on. So here's what we're going to see overnight. So you can see Carlsbad at about 2 miles per hour, La Jolla down into San Diego, 2 to 3 miles per hour. We're going to see a little bit stronger winds as we move through the evening, but that's not until the later hours. While the sun is up, those wind speeds are low, anywhere between 3 to 5 miles per hour, but not a whole lot going on where that fire is. The majority of what they're seeing are those vegetation that is burning. So current temperatures that we're seeing right now, Del Mar at 66, La Jolla 65, down by the fire in San Diego, 71 degrees. So the sunshine, it is a bright and sunny day in San Diego. There's a storm pattern that's on the way later this week that's clearing out a lot of the air right now. So you saw things warm up a little warmer than they've been for parts of the day. So 71 degrees right now around that fire area. The good news is it's only going to cool down as we get into the evening. We've seen those temperatures drop. So hour by hour inland forecast, that's what we're going to be looking for tonight. So 74, 75 degrees in the inland right now at 3 p.m., 70 degrees as we get toward 5 p.m., 62 by the 7 p.m. hour when a lot of the kids are out. So you watch those temperatures go down. The wind speed's also going to drop as we get into the evening. That's going to help firefighters as they battle this fire, Wale. So good news from the weather department. Not a lot of winds, which is what we typically see moving those flames. A very calm day today. So it's really attacking that vegetation that's surrounding the homes, Wale.
Adam, thank you so much. All right, let's reset the scene for you right now. It's 2:35. We've been following this brush fire for about an hour. This came across in the 1 o'clock hour. Right now we know Montezuma near Fairmount roads, SDFD tweeting out a little bit ago, many crews in the area. Montezuma is shut down in both directions. Aldine Drive is also impacted. They're asking people to avoid the area if possible. Canyon behind Lucille Drive in Talmadge and Alvarado Estates, Canyon is burning as well. We do not yet have any confirmed information about evacuations, but we do know, again, there's a lot of vegetation in the area. There's a lot of homes in the area. There's even some schools in the area as well. This is a map right now, so you can see just exactly what we're looking at there. Montezuma, Fairmount, again, just south of the 8, just east of the 15. So I want to bring back in Officer Mark Lucille, who has been monitoring the traffic in the area. I know you said 8 is slowed down understandably as people are, I'm sure, rubbernecking and just kind of seeing how big the plume of smoke is, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely, Wale. We've had some of the slowdowns on that 8 right in that area. We are going to be closing the Fairmont and Mission Gorge exits. The mainline freeway will stay open. That's not a problem at the moment, so we're going to keep those, but try to keep as many people away from that area as possible to allow those firefighters to make their way to that scene.
And we are just looking at just the plume of smoke that is in the air. How much, Mark, can that affect just the traffic for drivers? Does it at all impact their visibility as they're going up and down the freeways?
Well, as you can see, I just switched our Caltrans camera to the same. There's 2 cameras on this Fairmont spot here at the 8, and you can see this is what right now live what this traffic is doing. There's no visibility issues at the moment, and given the lack of wind, I was watching the smoke go pretty much straight up into the air, so it didn't seem to affect the freeways in any way. So we're looking good on that front, but as you can see, it is causing some slowing.
Definitely slow moving right there on the 8 eastbound, Mark. Thank you so much. All right, I'm just going to reset for you all again. This is brush fire that we have been following and monitoring for about a little bit over an hour at this point. You're seeing the plume of smoke there over that vegetation. You're seeing the cars slowly moving. We have just confirmed, I just confirmed through my producer, that there is an evacuation order currently on Lucille Drive. So that is the first evacuation order. I'm hearing a second evacuation order now on Lila Drive in the area. So, and then we're also hearing 49th Street. So that is 3 evacuation orders: Lucille Drive, Lila Drive, and 49th Street. So again, this is a fast moving fire. We are learning more information as the seconds continue. All right, so right there you see just a plume of smoke in the air. Firefighters are completely surrounded the area. We do have a team of reporters and photographers on the way. They're monitoring evacuation orders. There's still a lot we're working to confirm, including any more evacuation orders, the entire rate of speed, how many acres we're looking at here. All right, right now I want to go check back in with Adam Rakusin, who's in our weather department. He's been monitoring the wind speeds as well as the temperatures in that area. And how difficult is it for Adam, for these firefighters in the conditions that we're currently seeing?
Well, the good news is that it's not all that hot out right now. I believe 71 in the Fairmount Mission Gorge area that we're seeing right there, kind of in the College area. And the wind speed, kind of what you heard Mark LaTulip talk about. The smoke that we saw was going straight up. I went outside the building just a few minutes ago to see where this is. We have a really good view of the smoke plume, and it is straight up. There's not a whole lot of movement. What you're seeing is a lot of burning through that vegetation because of those wind speeds. Here's a current look at what we have right now. La Jolla area about 15 miles per hour up on the coast. You're seeing that wind speed move in from the coast, pushing inland. That's because of a storm system that's setting up later on this week. So the La Jolla area 15 heading down near San Diego. So if you're looking right around where that fire area is, there's not a whole lot of wind there. That's why you're not seeing those speeds right there. 3 to 4 mile per hour gusts. You're not seeing very much going on beyond that. So here's what we're going to see the setup for later tonight. Kearney Mesa, San Diego, you're going to see 5 to 6 mile per hour winds that are going to move in. We're going to see a little bit more wind gusts that are going to come in tomorrow. That's because of the storm system that's going to set up for the weekend, where we could potentially see some rain on Saturday. But for this evening, very calm winds. The firefighters could get a lucky break because of that. So if they're using aircraft, depending on that area, I haven't been able to hear whether they've got helicopters or flight patterns up right now. But if they are able to get that, it's going to make things much easier for them to be able to fight that fire because they're not dealing with the winds. The water drops become easier. The fire retardant in that area gets easier. And of course, we know the temperatures. Let's take a look at the temperatures right now. So in San Diego, 71 degrees. That's kind of in the College area where we're seeing, as we get closer to La Jolla and the shore, about 65. So clear skies, only 70 degrees. That's an optimal setup for firefighters. It gives them a really good temperature of attack. They're able to get into those areas without having to worry about the elements and focus on the fire instead, which is a good setup for them. So here's what they're expecting as we go through the rest of the evening. 74 degrees right now as we continue to move through the afternoon. 70 degrees as it continues to get a little darker. 62 as they move even further into the evening, although I'd be surprised how much further it goes on past that, depending on the vegetation, just because of the lack of wind speed. That would allow firefighters to get that set up and have those cool temperatures. We've also seen fog move in overnight, which creates that moisture level that firefighters can use as well, Wale. So a really good setup, not a lot on the radar right now. So that's what firefighters are looking at as they continue to battle this fire in the College area, Wale.
Adam, thank you so much. We did just get a tweet from SDFD saying that the Hardy Elementary is being evacuated to Viejas arenas at SDSU. Parents can use Canyon Crest to access that arena. Avoid College Avenue. Again, Hardy Elementary being evacuated. That is on top of what we've already reported. Lucille, Lila, and 49th are also being evacuated. You're looking at some pictures. These are sent in from viewers. Obviously, when something like this happens, the viewers are going to contact us, and you can just see the entire frame of the camera is just covered in that plume of smoke that is just billowing right now, hundreds of feet in the air. You can just see the vegetation around there, and you can see there. This is in a residential area, so this is something that we need to for sure keep tabs on. Right now, I want to bring in geologist Pat Abbott, who's joining us by phone. Pat, what can you tell us? What kind of insight can you tell us as far as the area that this fire is burning and just the precautions that may need to be taken right now?
Well, this is a typical kind of area in San Diego. Basically, we're a flat mesa, an old uplifted seafloor, but we're carved through with all these canyons, a lot of them with very steep walls in a lot of neighborhoods. And the natural vegetation in there is the chaparral, and that is a plant community that is genetically designed to burn in order to reproduce itself. The point being, these steep little canyons in the neighborhoods are frankly, they're disasters ready to go, because once those vegetation catches on fire and starts roaring uphill, it's very, very hard to stop them, especially when it's a lot of connected backyards and you don't have easy access, to an open area to set up and fight.
And Pat, that area, as you mentioned, that's Kensington hillsides, open spaces, a lot of brush in that area. So you're saying that if that starts moving uphill, it's going to make things very, very difficult for firefighters. So they really want to avoid it before that happens. Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. Fire burns uphill much faster than it does downhill. When it's burning in the bottom of a canyon, that means all the heat is rising it up, thick chimney-like. That means it's drying out the vegetation up the slope, making it hot and easier to ignite and burn. And then, of course, that leads up to people have trees, bushes in their backyards. You have wooden fences. You have wood patios. You have all kinds of backyards full of flammable material as well. So if it roars up that canyon wall and hits into the infrastructure or the buildings and accessory structures of a house, then you're in deep trouble. We have witnessed this before in San Diego. It's been some time since we've had a bad one of these, and I hope they can stamp this thing out quickly.
Well, what I'm trying to understand, Pat, is you mentioned that the fire is going to burn uphill. They've evacuated some of the residences and streets south of the fire on Montezuma Road. So they've evacuated Lila Drive, Lorraine, and 49th. Lucille Drive, Lila Drive, and 49th. So where is the biggest concern right now? Is it those residences, or is it the brush to the near Kensington hillsides?
Well, of course, the brush you've got to get, because that basically is the source of all those fires. You got to worry about the houses there immediately. But the other part of it is the hidden threat of fires are the embers. The flying embers can go and start other fires. I have stood on cul-de-sacs in San Diego watching fires and literally watched embers get up and fly as much as a quarter mile, half a mile away and set down someplace with the fire engine chasing after it. So that's one of the other problems here is that you have the spot that you're attending to, but you've got to look out that embers, that little pieces of wood, burning orange embers don't fly and land someplace like, on an old cushion on a chaise lounge in a backyard, or, any easy place of ignition. You can start secondary fires. And I'm sure that's why they want to clear people out, so that if you're chasing down an ember or you've got a hot lead, no pun intended, but you want to get over there right away, you can't really be dealing with a lot of people and things like that, or wasting your time in terms of getting to the root of the problem. Put that fire out. Start it, stomp it out right where it's just started. Don't let it grow.
Geologist Pat Abbott giving us a lot of insight. As I continue to talk to you, Pat, we just want to pull up some of the more viewer pictures that have come in. And I don't know if you're seeing any of this on your screen, but you can just see that large plume of smoke right there behind the residences. You're seeing the cars in the forefront of your screen coming towards the camera, and they're driving away from that fire. That is the scene that we're looking at. There's another picture that one of our producers, Eric, is pulling up right now. Zooming into that, oh my God, you can see just the flames at the very bottom of that screen there and the large plume of smoke. Will you zoom that in a little bit further, Eric, just so we can just show the viewers just the amount of vegetation right there at the bottom of your screen. That is what the firefighters are dealing with currently. I think we have one more picture as well from viewers. Okay, there you go. There is maybe a ground level shot. You can just see the flames right there in that vegetation. And Pat, from my understanding, this evacuation order that I mentioned, Lucille Drive, again, Lila Drive and 49th Street, the evacuation order is at a level 3 go. Can you kind of help our viewers understand what that means, like the level of concern right now when the evacuation is at a level 3?
Well, one, you want people out of harm's way. But secondarily, not only are they out of harm's way, you can't have them underfoot. You can't be having traffic jams. You can't have things that reduce your mobility to get at and attack the flames. So you have those various levels, and of course, the higher the level, the higher the concern. And for something like this, especially when it's a new fire, hasn't really established yet, the really critical thing is to get it and not have it go to other canyons or go other houses. Don't let it spread. Keep it contained. so that you can put out that contained area.
All right, Pat, thank you. I am also seeing another little bit of information coming across my desk here. Mandatory evacuation area. I'm going to read this to you as I'm learning it. We'll go through this together. Mandatory evacuation area south of Alvarado Canyon Road, west of Lila Drive, north of Monroe Avenue, east of Montezuma. If you are within this area bordered by these streets, please evacuate. Total acreage estimate as of 2:42 p.m., so this is about 6 minutes ago, we're talking 37 acres, Pat. This is information that just came in from SDFD. So when you hear that, Pat, 37 acres, what's your reaction?
Well, that's a large area. Just I was visualizing and hoping it was smaller than that. Roughly speaking, an acre you could visualize as being a football field. Think about, goal line to the end zone to the other end of the field. So like 37 football areas, that's a large area already. So that means this thing is really, really, high priority, level 3, as you say. We're lucky we don't have Santa Ana winds blowing or something like that to make it even more difficult. As long as the winds aren't there, the ability of our firefighters is so high, I feel quite confident they'll be able to get everything under control. And I hope we don't lose any houses or even any accessory structures here.
Pat, and it's not lost on me that today is Halloween. It's 2:49 right now. A lot of families are getting ready. Maybe they're picking kids up from school on this Thursday. They're getting ready to get their kids in costumes and potentially go trick or treating. So this is, and again, residences in that area. That's a neighborhood that would have been trick or treating tonight. I would imagine those plans are moot at this point.
Oh, I would certainly think so. I mean, after all, with the amount of people moving, the little kids out on foot, even after dark, if the fire flares up in some unexpected spot, the last thing you want to do is have a lot of children that you need to look out and take care of. But in other words, hopefully everybody, when they evacuate, hopefully they have friends or family where they can go to those areas, and hope the kids can join in with their friends' kids and trick or treat in a different neighborhood. In other words, still have the joy of the whole Halloween experience, but not in your home area.
Pat, stay with us. Thank you so much. Again, I just want to kind of reiterate a few of the evacuation areas that we're hearing: south of Alvarado Canyon Road, west of Lila Drive, north of Monroe Avenue, east of Montezuma. We've mentioned Lila, Lucille, 49th Street. Can we bring in Officer Mark Lutulip one more time? Mark, as you just hear about all of this, all of the evacuation orders and all, we've been mentioning the traffic in the area, how big of a concern is it for people, like maybe not directly in that area, but people who might be driving a little bit maybe to the north, east, south, or west of this fire?
Yeah, absolutely. Generally we want to avoid the area. For one thing, just like I keep saying, hey, we want to make sure we get those fire apparatus and those personnel to the fire so that they can protect homes and things of that sort and keep things from burning and having it spread more. I'm looking at the traffic maps right now, Wale, and the southbound 15 is starting to build a bit. Usually that's starting to happen about this point anyway in the afternoon. But if people can take that 52 to the east or even down to the 94 to the east and to kind of circumvent this area, that would probably be great and help out the general situation.
All right, Mark, thank you so much. So we heard from Ryan Hill earlier. We are told his shot is up and ready to go. He just set up near 49th Street. Okay, Ryan, we see you. Wow, I just see the fog and the smoke behind you. Just describe to us what the scene looks like for you.
Yeah, Wale, right now we are hearing the CAL FIRE planes flying overhead. There's tons of smoke around us. It is very heavy in the air. Flecks of ember and ash are kind of falling around our area. There's San Diego Fire here. We also saw a Miramar fire truck here in the scene as well. We also saw San Diego police trying to get a man and his dog out of one of the homes here on Lila Road, I believe, just off of 49th Street in that area where you had mentioned earlier in this broadcast where there are those evacuation orders. Again, it is just thick of smoke. It's a little difficult to breathe around here. It feels like a proverbial ghost town as so many people probably tried to grab all of their belongings and get out of here. Fire hoses are strewn all across the ground. We've been seeing CAL FIRE planes flying overhead, even the Sheriff's Department helicopters with that long hose for the water dumps we saw flying overhead. We are very, very close here to this area. As you can see just by the amount of smoke that's in this area, we are seeing firefighters kind of going near to homes, maybe going door to door to check on and see if people still haven't evacuated yet, or making sure that those homes and structures are okay from any exterior burns or something of that nature. But once we find out more information from here on the ground, we'll be sure to let you know here over in this area of 49th Street and Lila Road. Again, please be mindful of this area. Still, smoke is very heavily prominent as the winds we can see are shifting in different directions as crews continue to fight this fire. Wale?
Ryan, while I have you, I do have a question. So I know we want to keep you at a safe distance for sure, but from where we are, we don't see a lot of firefighters in that area, but you told us you've seen some rescue efforts. Can you just elaborate a little bit on just the rescue efforts, as well as can you just give us a little bit of insight on how hard and challenging it was for you to get to that location where you are right now on 49th?
Yeah, police had blocked 49th Street up to Lucille Drive. We probably walked about another solid block and a half down to this area. As we were walking up, I did see San Diego police go to one of the homes here and take a man and his dog out. It was very calm, very cool and collected, just bringing him out of this area where you can clearly see the smoke is right behind us with the fire being on their doorstep. So it seemed very controlled, calm, trying to get people out as they're continuing to go around to all these different homes with the canyon seemingly right down below us from what I could tell on the GPS coming over here. But I mean, there was a lot of neighbors on the way over here coming out, looking, gawking. We did see one man and his son kind of run out, maybe trying to get to their nearby home. I'm not sure if they were down further over here, but they seemed to be moving with a definite, sense of worry. But again, we did see that one individual and his dog get out of here with a San Diego PD. It was very calm, very cool, collected, kind of like, hey, you should probably be getting out of here at this time, considering how close this fire is to their doorstep.
All right, Ryan Hill, stay with us. We will come back to you for sure. I do want to get to Adam Akustin right now in our weather center. Adam, you see just the amount of smoke behind Ryan. Can you just talk to us a little bit about the wind speeds and the direction that they're moving?
Yeah, so Wale, I was paying really close attention to Ryan's live shot right there, and you could see the wind gust. You'd see the leaves on the tree kind of move back and forth and then slow down. Same thing with the palm trees. So you're seeing those 3 to 5 mile per hour wind gusts that are coming through that area. But for the most part, the smoke just really going straight up. Take a look at this. This is from our Spring Valley Sky Cam. You can see the whole county is basically seeing this at this point. I'm getting text messages from people all over San Diego that are seeing this plume of smoke that is going on from the fire in the College area. But you can also notice something else from this shot. It's that the smoke is mainly going up, and then when it's going up, we're getting to other parts where it's getting blown out. So you're not seeing this giant plume of smoke that's getting blown and whipped everywhere. You're really seeing it go straight up, and then it's those 3 to 5 mile per hour gusts that we're seeing that is moving things along. Also, here's another better look at this for a little bit closer. This is the Caltrans cam that's giving you that better look. You can see the smoke that's moving kind of up in that direction. So you're seeing the gusts. The winds are moving from the ocean, moving eastward on that. You can see the helicopter that's flying through right now. I heard that in Ryan's shot as well. All right, chance of rain. I checked in on this to see if there's any chance of rain this evening that might be able to help firefighters as we move through the evening, but not a whole lot that's going on in San Diego right now. You can see 1 to 2%. So the likelihood of anything happening from a precipitation point that would be able to help firefighters, not a whole lot. Something Pat Abbott said, 37 acres that you were talking about for the fire right now. Yes, that's a lot, but if we had those wind speeds up, it would probably be double to triple that. That's what we've seen in fires in other areas. If you're familiar with that College area, you know that it is full of vegetation right off of Fairmount and Montezuma. So what it's doing is it's burning through that vegetation. Here's the current temperatures that you're seeing right now. This is what firefighters are working with, 70 degrees out in the San Diego area. So they have little wind and 70-degree temperatures. Here's what they can expect as they're going hour by hour through this evening. 74 at 3 p.m., 70 degrees at 5, 62. You can watch it kind of trail off. It's going to be a cold evening. That's because of a storm system that's coming on later this evening. On the satellite radar, not a whole lot going on. Those wind speeds, they're coming in from the ocean, from the coast. They're pushing east. That's because of a storm system that is setting up. But these are good conditions for firefighters. What this allows them to do is to bring in those helicopters and those aerial attacks. The ground game is incredibly important. That's how they protect structures. They've got the crews on the ground, but those lines that they lay out, that comes from the air. They're able to drop that fire retardant. They're able to make those water drops on that area. If there was a lot of wind right now, that wouldn't be possible. But with those small gusts, that is something that is really going to be helping firefighters as they continue to move through the evening. Wale.
Slower wind speeds is a silver lining right now. Okay, Adam, thanks so much. We're going to check it back in with you in a little bit. I do want to get to our Madison Weil, who just arrived. She is near the highway there on Fairmont. I see a lot of firefighters and crews behind you. Just describe the scene where you are, Madison.
Yeah, Wale, we've been watching a pretty remarkable effort by the firefighters out here. We're on Montezuma, just that overpass overlooking Fairmont. And what we've been seeing here is a really targeted approach to protect these homes. We've been watching water drop after water drop coming on this hillside. Again, we're watching these flames really creep up this hillside. So those targeted water drops, we've been watching the impact that it's been having. And this has been a very collaborative approach out here. We've seen multiple crews from different agencies. We've seen San Diego Fire as well as Cal Fire. We've seen law enforcement really helping when it comes to the traffic support. Just a reminder that Montezuma is shut down and the traffic in this entire area is congested as first responders are rerouting people and trying to get to where they need to be. So we've been watching these plumes of smoke billowing on our drive-in, growing in size, and that dark gray color that we know means that it's burning the greenery that we're seeing in this kind of very hilly area. So again, really a strategic effort that we've been watching, these planes coming in, dropping on this hillside. We've been seeing the impact and success that they've been having, and we're going to continue to be out here to provide you guys with updates. But for now, we're live. Madison Weil, we'll send it back to you guys.
Madison, thank you. Look, let me ask you too, and we see the firefighters relatively calm near where you are. I know you're talking about the airdrops from above. Is there a fight on the ground, and if so, what does it look like?
So we've been watching the wind really fluctuating in this specific area. So my photographer and I, Gerald, we were just talking that we've been watching the flames really picking up. You can actually see it, this tree right here, right? Those flames that are picking up, and then a water drop will come down and really extinguish them. But again, it's the wind that's really a driving factor today. When we have a breeze, as you'd expect, those flames pick up a little bit, but then we've been watching them make that progress. So definitely something they're trying to keep under control right here.
And before I let you go, Madison, just give us a little insight on just the traffic getting to where you are and just that headache, what I'm assuming is a headache just to get to where you are.
Yeah, the traffic down here is a nightmare. So if you're going to be in this general area, I would suggest taking another route because Montezuma is shut down. The Fairmont as well is just congested with people trying to figure out how to reroute their afternoon. But there is law enforcement directing people. So if you are coming this way, be sure just to respect whatever law enforcement is directing you to do.
Madison Weil for us on near Fairmont Highway. Thank you, Madison. We will check back in with you in a little bit. Right now, we have Monica Munoz with the San Diego Fire Department. Monica, we appreciate you being with us very much. I'm hearing a dial tone. Can you hear me, Monica? Do we have Monica?
Hi, can you hear me?
All right, I'm hearing you faintly. I'm going to go ahead and ask a question. Okay, we don't have Monica, but we will check back in with Monica when we can get her because we definitely want to get some of that insight from the fire department. You just saw one of the helicopters there as they're doing airdrops, and there it is right there, the fight on the ground as well for these firefighters. Let's reset the scene for you here. This is going on almost 2 hours at this point. This is a brush fire that firefighters have been working to fight for the last couple hours. Okay, all right, I'm hearing we have Monica Munoz now from SDFD. I would love to get you if you have you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can
Perfect.
you hear me?
Yes, perfect. All right.
Yes. Okay. Periodically, you'll hear helicopters from above, but I just heard you ask the reporter about the firefight on the ground. And yes, that is taking place, what we refer to as structure protection. So we have couple different types of fire engines here. The brush engines obviously can go off-road and access the canyon areas where they need to go because of the fact that it's, as you said, steep terrain, difficult to access. A regular standard fire engine could not get into that area, which is also why we're using air support. But the standard brush engines are in the neighborhood doing what's called structure protection, which is wetting down the brush that's around those houses, putting out any small spot fires. As a matter of fact, I'm standing on Montezuma Road, and if I look to the north, I could see a couple of hose lines that were actively protecting a house that's right up above me. So the air support is watching as far as intel to see what's happening on the ground, and they can direct the units that are on the ground. And the units on the ground are actively fighting the fire, both structure protection and putting out fires.
You got me?
Monica, let me ask you too. When you that ground fight that you guys are currently doing, I know you said you're wetting down brush, but there's such deep terrain, and as you mentioned, it's hard to access all angles. Are you guys approaching this fire from all angles on the ground as well?
Yes, that's why we have off-road engines, which are the brush engines that can go off-road and go into steep terrain and difficult terrain. Firefighters also can use their 2 legs, so they're walking into the canyons, dragging hose line, also fighting the small fires that are starting because of the winds. And I apologize for the helicopter. And again, mentioning air support, there's a small fire right in front of me just on the north side of Montezuma that the helicopter just put out with a very strategic, very direct water drop. We also have fixed-wing aircraft that are dropping retardant, which is the red substance that you'll see coming out of the fixed-wing aircraft, and that is an effort to prevent the flames from reaching areas that have not yet burned.
And Monica, as we just saw another airdrop, can you just give us a little bit of insight? I mean, you all train for this every day. We get it. What are the biggest challenges to this specific fire?
I would say this one is the wind today, because it is a lot windier than I expected it to be on a day like this. It started out very cold but beautiful. So the wind is not helpful in these circumstances. This area south of Montezuma Road near Fairmont Avenue, which was filled with palm trees, they're all burned up now. But the problem is all of that brush is very, very, very dry, and it's very thick. It has, been fed by water. In January we had those extreme rains. Previous to that, we had other rains that really saturated the ground and allowed the underbrush to grow very, very thick. Because it hasn't burned in such a long time, it poses a lot more risk because it burns faster and it's very, very difficult to put out.
Monica, tell us a little bit, just as you all, as you mentioned, fight this from all the different angles. You're worried about the brush there, Kensington Hillside. You're also simultaneously working to evacuate some of those streets nearby. How much help do you all have currently from the surrounding communities? And as you're kind of looking at this from a staffing perspective, you're also kind of taking into account, okay, how long are we going to have to fight this fire? Are we going to have to work in shifts? Bring us a little bit of the inside baseball, and as you all are trying to manage this, the logistics of putting out this fire. What does that look like for you all?
Yes, we have San Diego Police Department who is performing evacuations. We have SDSU Police, which of course San Diego State is, directly adjacent to where this is all happening. So they've been extremely helpful. We have agencies from Lakeside, Santee, Lemon Grove. I believe Miramar sent a couple of engines. Cal Fire's here. Our agency's here. So yes, the people behind the scenes right now are planning for the fact that we need to probably bring in some more personnel, because of the fact that these individuals who are fighting the fire now will be here for a few hours, but then they'll need to be switched out with new crews. So because we do obviously have to take the health and safety of these individuals very, top of our list of priorities. So we're making sure that they get breaks, that they get water, that they get food, and then we're also behind the scenes making sure that we have enough to staff everybody, all of the fire stations that we have around the city, as well as bringing in replacement crews to help with the individuals who are probably going to be here. Well, I expect we'll be here through the night.
Monica Munoz from SDFD. Let me ask you, Monica, as well, as you just mentioned, you're already kind of planning to potentially be here through the night. When you all are looking at evacuations now, we've already mentioned several evacuations, some of those southern streets there, a little bit south of the fire, the Lilas, the 49s, the Lucille Drives. When you guys are looking at these evacuations, what is kind of the cutoff? Do you guys have a measure that you're looking at as like, okay, if it's this many yards away from this home or from this street, we will have to, as a precaution, evacuate the street? How do you guys make those tough decisions?
When we're speaking of Talmadge, there's a lot of canyon, there are a lot of homes and a lot of streets that border the canyon. So those streets will be evacuated because the canyon does obviously pose a risk. As I said before, the brush is very thick and been growing for a long time. So it's significant as far as the fuel for this fire. But they, factor in the winds. There's a lot of things that go into the decision making when it comes to evacuations. Some of it is just sheer precaution. So because we want to make sure that people are out of the area so that we can safely fight the fire, we'll extend that particular area so that people are safe. And also, the streets in Talmadge are narrow, so you cannot fit a brush engine or a standard engine at the same time that you're trying to get a car through there. So that's another challenge that we have to consider when it comes to this. But I do want to mention that the temporary evacuation point is at Allied Gardens Recreation Center, which is over in the community of Grantville, and it's on Greenbrier. So that's a place where people from these areas can go to get some rest, to kind of regroup, figure out what they're doing, how long they're going to be out potentially, and have somebody pick them up if they would like, or go stay at a hotel and make different arrangements.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I will just reiterate that in case anybody missed that. Allied Gardens Rec Center is the temporary evacuation site for anybody in this area being affected by this fire. Let's talk a little bit about that, though, Monica, because it's a space. It's a large space, but it's only so big. I've been there. There's a rec center. There's outdoor playground, swimming pool. It has the works, but at some point, like you mentioned, people will have to start making other plans, whether it's getting picked up, going to a hotel, whatever it may be. What kind of help or resources is available for these people who are being sent to Allied Gardens, or maybe they don't have anywhere to go?
The Red Cross is assisting us with that effort, and they're more than willing to provide shelter at additional locations if necessary. So it will depend upon the number of people that we see and how many come over. And if it turns out that we need to open another location, the Red Cross will help us do that. And then also, typically when these things happen, we have schools that volunteer to help out. We have churches and other faith-based groups that volunteer to help out. So there's a lot of community coming together when something like this happens.
Okay,
no one's going to be kicked out of the shelter. In other words, if we reach capacity at the shelter or they begin to reach capacity, they will open an alternate location. What I was suggesting by saying that people can make arrangements is that a lot of people don't like to be in the shelter environment. So if they have the ability to make other arrangements by going with a family member, say in Carmel Valley or Mira Mesa or something like that, they are welcome to do so.
Monica Munoz, hopefully you can stay with us because we will definitely want some more of your insight. You've been so helpful to us and to our viewers, giving us some insight on especially the behind the scenes of how you guys do what you do. We appreciate you so much. Right now, I want to check back in with Officer Mark Lutulip, who's been monitoring the traffic in the area. I know you've been mentioning the slowdowns on the 8. We've been mentioning, Mark, several different streets that have been evacuated. What do things look like right now from your perspective, Mark?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the traffic maps right now, and you're eastbound on the 8th from the 163 through the College area. You're going to be on those breaks. So like I said, nothing is closed except for that intersection that we have this camera at from Caltrans, which I just switched to right now. That's the only closed intersection at the moment, and that is on the south side of the 8, near heading towards the fire. That's east of the 15. The 15 is heavy from about the 163 down, and the 805 is starting to build as well. 163 is still doing pretty good, and if you're heading around, if you head out to the 52 or the 94 and you are west of the scene, that's the way to go right now. You have minor slowing on both the 52 and the 94.
Mark, let me ask you, as we've been mentioning some of these evacuation orders for some of the nearby streets, what kind of impact does that have on just the overall traffic here on a Halloween, going into rush hour right now? How much more of an impact is that going to have and make it harder for anybody in and around the area?
It feels like right now, Wally, it's almost like when I do my traffic report at 5. The maps look similar to how it looks at about 5 o'clock. So it seems like we've ramped up early today. Obviously, all that traffic has to go somewhere. So as it's making its way out of there, hopefully we can get the message out to get people to circumvent this area and just give those firefighters room to work and get people to the safe spots that they can sit back and wait for they all clear to go back home, I hope. And Halloween, man, this is going to mess up somebody's trick-or-treating tonight, so that's not cool.
Yeah, definitely not fun, but hey, safety is paramount at this moment. We want to make sure all those families are safe. They can go trick-or-treating on their own tomorrow night if they have to, or they'll have a little celebration of candy at Allied Gardens if they need be, but we want to make sure everybody is safe. Speaking of that, let's get to Ava Kirshner, who's joining us now in the Weather Center. Ava, Adam was there before you. We were talking wind speeds, we were talking temperatures. Just give us a little bit of insight what you're seeing, what you're monitoring.
Yeah, so in terms of wind speeds and temperatures, things are rather more on the mild side. They should actually be helping firefighters. And in terms of moisture, we're not tracking too much in our forecast. However, if we can get out to the camera that I've got here, we see this big smoke filling the air. However, it's not really going straight up. Here we go. This is the same camera that Adam showed a little bit earlier. Again, it is not a giant plume of smoke going up into the sky. It is kind of spreading out a little bit. So as we see this develop into the afternoon, this could worsen our air quality. Here's a look at the air quality across the county right now. Areas in Alpine getting close to that unhealthy mark, and other areas getting into that moderate area. So it is something to be aware of if you're heading outside, especially tonight, you know, with Halloween. You might just want to be careful out there, even if you aren't in the same area as the fire. So in terms of temperatures, we are on the average side, you know, around 70 degrees. So it's not too hot out there. However, it's not too moist as well. Something else that is a big factor in terms of fires are the wind speed. So this is the wind direction for you here. As you can see, a lot of the winds coming off of the coast and they're heading southeast. So a lot of that smoke should be blowing towards East County, but it isn't that speedy. As you can see, let's take a look at this is how the wind direction is going throughout the evening, and it's going to be shifting, but for now and for most of the afternoon, it is heading towards East County. And here's those wind speeds right now. So it is not too gusty out there, closer to 10 miles per hour, and then that is dying down and getting a lot calmer as we head overnight. So wind speed should be dying down, not really picking up too much. And in terms of hour by hour forecasts, our temperatures will be dropping down to the 60s quite soon, and wind gusts again dying down. In terms of moisture, we do not have too much into the forecast. Let me play this out for you. Overnight, we're really not seeing a lot of that moisture. That rain precipitation is not really moving in, but we're going to continue to monitor this for you. Wale.
Ava, thank you so much. I do want to just kind of recap some of the road closures that we've been following here. The following are closed and will be closed until midnight. Road closure evacuations: Callwood between Monroe and Montezuma, Montezuma between Fairmont and 55th Street, Fairmont from the I-8 to Aldine, Camino del Rio south at Fairmont. So a lot of road closures. And speaking of some of the road closures, we are joined now by Ryan Hill, who is on 49. I believe he's still on 49th Street, Ryan. You've been talking to us about some of the things that you've seen, including evacuations, but you even saw one of the houses being doused by these firefighters.
Yeah, Wale, that's right. We're here near Lila Drive, which is just off of 49th Street. I'm going to get out of the way and show you some of the crew that the San Diego firefighters are doing right here on the ground. I was told by one of the crews here, they're spraying this area over near this kind of ravine area, which I believe Montezuma Road is down just below, where they're trying to stop the fire line from getting any closer. As you've seen how close it got to some of these homes with the disparity in the color of the grass, where it was torched and then what some grass is still living. They've also been spraying some of the homes to protect them with that fire hose, obviously at a different pressure gauge to not cause any damage from what we can see. As they're spraying these homes to protect them, we've also seen a handful of helicopters ranging from San Diego Sheriff's Office to the fire department flying overhead. Some are doing water drops, and as you were talking with the San Diego Fire Department earlier, some are kind of just flying around, not doing drops, probably doing that aerial surveillance of this fire, if you will, like you were talking with the fire department earlier. But again, very smoky. The wind is has been coming in lulls. Sometimes it'll kind of billow up. Sometimes it'll die down for a little bit like we are right now. But again, very smoky out here. As you see, crews are still trying to just soak this ground to make sure that the fire does not inch any closer. We've been out here for the past like 15-20 minutes or so, and that's all they've been focusing on. This ridge line to make sure that the fire doesn't inch up closer and spraying these homes down with water, as we've seen these helicopters just fly overhead nonstop for the past 15 15 to 20 minutes. Wale?
Ryan, thank you so much. All right, right now I want to get to Spencer Soisher, who just arrived at San Diego State. We're talking a couple miles east of where this fire is. We're told, okay, I see some of the students behind you. Those are Hardy Elementary students that were asked to evacuate to that location where you are, Spencer?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Wale. So initially, some of them were over at Viejas Arena across the street, the basketball arena for San Diego State. Right now, we're at the football practice facility, and a couple of administrators I've spoken with said that this has been going on for about 45 minutes or so, where parents are coming to pick up their kids here. Not exactly a panic scene here, because you don't see the fire necessarily at the same extent as you would in locations like where Madison and Ryan are, but you do see the helicopters behind the field, as well as a bunch of kids in costumes, because of course it's Halloween. So an interesting day at school, to say the least, for these parents, the students. A lot of the teachers are in costumes here. Nobody seems to be overly panicked, though. It's obviously not a dark smoke plume where we're at, but this is where they're getting picked up right now, the kids that are still left waiting for their parents as they leave school today.
If nothing else, Spencer, it will be a memorable Halloween for them. What can you just tell us what you're hearing? What are they saying? What are the kids saying? Are they upset, happy? Like, how are they feeling in this moment?
Yeah, I don't know the age range of a lot of the kids here. Obviously, elementary school. They're just doing their best to reunite them with their parents. Nobody seems scared. A lot of smiling. Looks like they're playing some games as well. Try to calm the kids down when you're out here in sort of a hectic situation. But then you hear the water, the helicopters and the tankers flying over. Everybody looks up, tries to see what's going on. But also everyone's in costumes too. So it's Halloween. You're seeing what your friends are wearing, what the teachers are wearing. There's also some officers here. They're bringing out water now, just making sure everybody's hydrated. It's a little bit hot out here and sunny. It's organized chaos, the best it could be.
Or organized chaos, controlled chaos. I love that, Spencer. If nothing else, as you mentioned, the police are there as well as some of the teachers, so they are in good hands for sure. And again, it will be a memorable Halloween for them. Spencer, thank you so much. All right, right now I want to check back in with Madison Weil. She is near the Fairmont and Highway area. Traffic, as you mentioned, was horrible. Madison, you were telling us about some of the drops you're seeing, as well as some of the fire crews behind you. What kind of update can you give us at this moment?
Yeah, well, we're on Montezuma right now, right on the overpass near Fairmount, and we've been watching, again, these really remarkable targeted water drops on this hillside. So there are a lot of homes up here, and as you can see, there's a home right up on that hillside that you can actually, I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but it's a little bit pink. That's where the fire retardant has been dropped onto the back side of that home, trying to protect it from these flames that continue to creep up this hillside slowly. Again, firefighters making these water drops and also attacking this from the ground, trying to prevent those flames from creeping up any further. But it's been a gusty afternoon out here. We're in this area right in between these hillsides. It's dry, grassy brush that's been catching fire. We've been watching the wind sort of changing directions and at times pushing those flames up that hillside. So this is a very collaborative response. As we said last time, we've been seeing CAL FIRE out here, as well as San Diego Fire, as well as a lot of law enforcement trying to make sure that people are respecting the road closures. But again, we're seeing a lot of these little hot spots. So this is a great example right here. This entire hillside continues to have these little areas that are burning. As you can see behind it, the palm trees did not make it. We've been seeing a lot of this ashy, dark burned areas on both sides really of this canyon that we're in. Again, this is Montezuma. This area is completely shut down. And another thing for drivers, as people have been saying, the traffic is really terrible. Respect the closures. Law enforcement here has been asking us to remind people to respect law enforcement, who's asking people to maybe reroute their afternoons. But again, a very active scene. We're going to continue to be here monitoring it for you. For now, we're live. Madison Weil, back to you guys.
Madison, she mentioned some of the traffic headaches around the area. I do want to pull up a map just to help you kind of reset there. That's where she is there on Montezuma Road. and then that's where the fire is burning there near the intersection of Fairmont Avenue, a couple miles west of SDSU, where we just saw Spencer show some of the Hardy Elementary students have been evacuated to. We've seen Ryan there on 49th Street. That whole area is, not the whole entire area, but several streets there, including 49th, Lyla, on evacuation orders. Eastbound 8, Fairmont exit. There's I-8 to Aldine, Fairmont from the I-8 to Aldine. So let's get in, check in now with Mark Latulip, Officer Mark Latulip. Can you give us a little bit more insight on just the road closures there and just the concern from an officer's perspective?
Yeah, well, you know, like I've said from the beginning, we want to be able to make sure that the firefighters can work the problem, and the officers that are heading in there to make sure that they are evacuating, or you know, whatever needs to be evacuated efficiently and without delay. So keeping that area clear is what we want to do. Checking back in on this is the main spot where we are holding the traffic and turning people around there at Fairmont. This is just Fairmont, south of the 8. As you can see, we've cleared out all that area so that they can work efficiently. The 8 right now is about the same as where it was before. 163 all the way to the college area. You're going to be on those brake lights on that eastbound side. The westbound side's doing okay. Southbound 15 and the 805 are both very heavy, heading towards the 8. So heads up for that. And the 163, same thing now, is starting to build a little bit more. Still, your best route to circumvent this is, if you are west of this, try to get up to the 52 or the 94 and head east and get around the 8 and that area. I'm CHP Officer Mark Latulip.
Mark, thank you so much. And we just saw on the left side of your screen, that was still Madison's shot there, that we just saw a heavy drop from one of the aircrafts there, some retardant there in the area. We heard from Monica Munoz earlier that they are fighting this from all angles. You got the airdrops, and they're also on the ground working on what they call structure protection. There's a lot of deep terrain in that area, so it is hard for these firefighters to access, but they have their hoses, they have their 2 feet, as she mentioned, and they're working this from all angles, even something as simple as wetting down the brush so that when the fire does get to that vegetation that you're seeing, that it doesn't spread as quickly as it could. We've been talking about wind speeds. Adam Rakusin, Evacuation on the Weather Center, telling us it's about 3 or 4 mile per hour wind speeds. There's another airdrop, as we're seeing right there, as they're trying to control. All right, right now I want to check in back with Spencer Soysher, who is at SDSU. He is speaking with, it looks like, maybe a parent or maybe a student. Spencer?
Yeah, we've got grandma, we have students, we have an astronaut, we also have a doctor. Are you a doctor? Awesome. Guy, I want to ask you a little bit about your process of coming down here today. How did you find out about the fire, coming to pick up the kids? What happened?
First of all, I was in Logan. That's where I was working today, and I saw a plume of smoke. Didn't know what it was. Got a call from my son, who just left out of town today, and I'm responsible for the littles, and said that they got a call saying I had to come pick them up right away because there was a brush fire. So that's how that went down, and here I am.
And what about you? Similar?
Yes, I was working at another school, and my sister called me and said, hey, you need to go down there and pick up your kids. And I'm like, oh, because I didn't check my phone at all. But yeah, she texted me and she was like, you need to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Halloween adds another wrinkle to this. The kids are all dressed up.
Right.
It almost makes them stand out when you're trying to find them as well. Was it hard to get over here to get to your kids?
Absolutely. It was difficult. We ran into on 54th, a trash truck had caught on fire as well. So that street was blocked, Fairmont was blocked, had to go around. So, but we made it. The kids are safe, so that's good.
Yeah, what are spirits like with the kids right now?
I don't know. I think they're all right. I know we haven't had a chance, but I'm sure they're excited to go trick-or-treating.
Yeah. Hey, are you going trick-or-treating tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah? What kind of candy are we hoping to get?
Tit Tats.
Ooh, good pick. What about you? Maybe Kit Kats too. That's a good pick. All right, that's the update here, Wale, as people are coming to get their children after school over at the elementary school this afternoon.
All right, hopefully she can break you off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Spencer, thank you so much. All right, let's check in now let's check in now with Ava Kirshner, who's in our weather department, monitoring some of these wind speeds. Ava, how challenging is it right now for these firefighters? 3 to 4 mile per hour wind speeds. I think you said some areas up to 10.
Yeah, so it's not too challenging. Thankfully, the wind is cooperating. We did show you that sky cam a few minutes ago where that doesn't really show a large plume of smoke, but rather smoke rising up and then just kind of spreading out. So also talking about current temperatures around 70 degrees, not too bad. No excessive heat out there. It is on the drier side. So as we move throughout this evening, wind speeds could get a little bit around 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to be closer to those dinner time winds, and then we'll be back into those single digits as we move closer this evening, closer to around 7 o'clock. Overnight, they're dying down even more and even getting more on the calm side. So as we head throughout the evening, they could pick up a little bit more, but shouldn't be too concerning as we move throughout the night. And here's the wind direction you might want to pay attention to. It's coming right off the coast and heading southeast. It's just going to be moving that fire and moving that smoke a little bit closer to East County. So we could be seeing some worse air quality out there. Be aware of that if you're in Eastern County or obviously right next to the fire and you're taking your kids out for trick-or-treating tonight. That might want to be aware of that. And as we head throughout the night, the wind direction will be changing and blowing south a little bit more and then should be back to normal as of tomorrow heading east. As we head throughout the night, so you can see temperatures dropping well below average, 61 degrees by 6 p.m. and wind speeds heading south. That's what I was telling you, heading south as we move overnight. So it's shifting from eastern winds to southern winds. And here's that rain futurecast. Again, we don't really have a lot of moisture in our forecast overnight. We're really not seeing a lot in terms of any precipitation until that next system comes in about a day. So we'll continue to track those wind speeds and let you know if there's any changes, Wale.
All right, Ava, thank you so much. Right now I want to check back in with Ryan Hill, who's been on 49th Street. It looks empty, and that is, I guess, a good thing, Ryan, because everybody has been asked to evacuate where you are near Lyla.
Yeah, Wally, that's correct. I just talked to one of the crew members over here from San Diego Fire. They told me everybody on this stretch has evacuated. They are out. As we were trying to see if anybody was still around, I was told they've all gone. Again, we are here on Lila Drive, and you can see, like you were mentioning, it's a ghost town. The only thing you can see is smoke off in the distance and the hum of the fire engines and sometimes the propellers of the helicopters that are flying by, whether they're doing water drops off in the distance or just looking around. You can see fire crews going from home to home, still checking on the structures, as again we saw fire crews spraying down some of the nearby homes and some of the brush to make sure that that fire line did not go up towards these homes and also protect them as crews continue to work and fight this fire. Again, we are here on Lila Drive. Wale, you had mentioned earlier all the different streets that are having evacuation orders. This was one of them. Again, if you, excuse me, as you can tell, the smoke is still very prevalent in this area as we're starting to feel the wind maybe shift a little bit as we continue to feel it kind of die down and continue to build back up again in some parts. But again, we'll continue to bring how the scene is looking here from Lila Drive as we continue on in our coverage. Wale, back to you.
Ryan, please get to a safer location. Everybody's been asked to evacuate from there, so we're going to ask you to evacuate as well. Get to a safe location. I want to bring up a map right now just to get viewers up to speed with what is currently evacuated. And you can see the entire area right there in the red is the evacuation area, and that's my understanding. So basically almost up to the SDSU campus where we saw Spencer earlier with some Hardy Elementary kids. So this is the extent of the fire that we're seeing as I bring in Officer Mark Lutulip. As I don't know if you can see that map, but basically everywhere between the 805 and SDSU south of the 8 mark. What's your reaction as you kind of see that map there?
Yeah, that's a pretty wide area there, Wale. So, I mean, looking at the freeway and whatnot, let me switch back to my camera that's on the freeway. We're still watching. This is from Taylor. So this is quite a ways to the west, and you can see that smoke. It's less than it was before, so that's good. But those firefighters know, they know the wind's down there near the fire and what direction it's trying to go. So, and having worked many fires in the past in my career, it's best to listen to them and wait for where they tell me to go and close a road, which is never easy to do. It's none of those residents want to leave their home in the threat of a fire, so that's very stressful. Your traffic conditions haven't changed too much. You're still very heavy between the 163 all the way through the College area. And those southbound commutes on the 15, the 805, and the 163 are very heavy now. And even the northbound now on the 805 is starting to build and the 15. So heads up for that. If you can circumvent that area on the 54 and the 94, please do so. And try to clear that area as best we can.
Marcus, I'm looking at that map. I mean, we're talking about dozens of acres here. From a officer's perspective and just the logistics of that, trying to evacuate that entire area, I imagine how busy the officers are. And just can you just give us a little bit of insight on how challenging it is to evacuate an area that large?
It's very difficult because there's a lot of people that don't want to leave their home. Which I personally have been on both sides of this actually, and it's that decision to make sure that you know that this is your property. You don't want to put your life in danger. So if those officers are heading down those streets and there's a mandatory evacuation, please heed the warnings of those officers. They're getting their information from people who know better, the firefighters, on what we need to do. So it's difficult. It's not easy. Not your most popular person when you do that.
It's not easy, Mark, and just help us out for somebody who might be watching this and maybe they're in that area or somewhere near that area and they're fearing their door is going to be knocked on pretty soon. Give us a little bit of insight, just the time frame that they have. Do they have time to gather things? Do they need to leave immediately? Like, what are those conversations like when that officer knocks on your door?
Yeah, it really depends on how close to that hot zone that you are. So yeah, if the fire is aggressively moving, obviously the need to leave faster is going to be something that we're going to stress. But from looking at what is going on, again, I'm not out there on the scene, but it looks like you would have some time to gather some of your stuff right now if you're in that area, especially to the west. To gather your things, what you want to take, and go find somewhere to hang out for a bit. And again, just keeping that area clear for officers and for firefighters to do their jobs makes the whole operation more efficient, and hopefully makes everyone safer.
All right, we're going to keep checking back in with you, Officer Mark Lucille. Thank you so much for that insight. Very helpful, very important to know just kind of the time frame that people might be dealing with. Right now, I want to check back in with Madison Weil. She was on Montezuma Road. Have you seen more drops from where you are, Madison?
Well, yeah, we're still here on Montezuma, and I can tell you just in the last 30 minutes or so, we've seen more crews arrive here on scene to continue to attack this from the ground, and we've also been seeing it from the sky. And the reason for that is because we are in this canyon with homes on either side. So this is the home we've been showing up here on this hillside. You can actually see the pink fire retardant from where these planes have been coming overhead and targeting specifically that entire ridge. You can see the pink dust there on the hillside, as well as if you look really closely, you can even see some fire hoses working to extinguish some of these hot spots and flames that we've been seeing continuing to pop up on this it's a very green hillside, right? We have this shrubbery, we have these palm trees that did not survive, but again, actually, just come over here, Gerald. We've been watching a lot of these little smoldering areas. In the last 30 minutes, we showed you this part was on fire, so it really depends on the winds. We've been seeing gusty winds, or we've been feeling these gusty winds coming through and watching sort of these hot spots flaring up. But again, they're doing a great job out here being extremely targeted in their approach. The other thing that we've been hearing from law enforcement is in regards to the traffic. Again, we're on Montezuma. This is completely shut down right now to traffic. Traffic on Fairmount is continuing to be pretty congested, so I would avoid this area if you can. And as the last speaker said, just respect whatever law enforcement is telling you. If they're asking people to evacuate in these surrounding neighborhoods, go ahead and respect whatever you're being told at this time. So we're going to continue to be here to update you, but for now, Madison, I will send it back to you, Wale.
Madison, let me ask you real quick, Madison. I mean, you keep mentioning just those hot spots that are popping up around you. Is that common? You showed us a couple. Are you seeing them all around? Is it just a few? How concerning is that from your vantage point right now?
Yeah, we're actually seeing one of these. You can see the helicopter overhead right now. In the last 30 minutes or so, We actually were dusted with the pink fire retardant as these planes are overhead. And the reason for these drops is because of these hot spots. We're seeing dozens of them. If you can even look on this hillside, I know it's very smoky, but I would say there are dozens on this side of the road and about a dozen on the other side of the road that we've been monitoring. And they continue to attack them from the ground with their hoses. But we can really see the impact, the immediate impact of these drops here in this canyon. Like I said, they're doing a remarkable job getting very close to these hillsides as they drop both water as well as fire retardant to go ahead and try and keep these flames under control.
All right, Madison Mall, thank you so much. We will check back in with you. Please stay safe where you are. Right now, I want to bring in geologist Pat Abbott, who's been kind enough to stay on the line with us here, Pat. Wow, right now we're looking at some pictures from, I believe this is near 49th Street. We're just seeing the Smokey area, the vegetation that is there. Pat, last time I talked to you here about an hour or so ago, you told me that the fire is moving uphill, and it is doing that. Since we've last spoken, we've seen the evacuation area grow substantially. Can you just put into context how, I'm just gonna say, how concerning this fire is at the very moment where we are right now at 3:38 p.m.?
Well, this fire is very concerning. I go back to the basics of what the vegetation is there. This is the Chaparral community. It is a community that has fire built into its life cycle. And specifically, you cannot just take seeds from chaparral, put them in potting soil, water them, and have them germinate. It requires fire to make their seeds germinate to do the next generation. So the point very simply is that this is not plants that are going to fight fire. They are in tune with fire. If they burn, then they release seeds for the next generation. My point simply being it's not just it's a difficult fire to put out because it's a vegetation community that has evolved to be in sync with what the environment is right here. And so we haven't had fires in a lot of these canyons for a long time. We don't want them because they threaten houses, so we put them out, lots of little fires. The other part of that is, of course, as that vegetation grows and it sheds leaves one year, some leaves and so forth, you start building up a lot of dry litter on the ground. You start getting the plants grow larger. In other words, if you look at it as fuel, the fuel for the fire increases, year by year by year. We don't want fires in canyons, and we suppress them, as we should, but at the same time, that allows fuel to build up and make it more difficult once fires do get started there. And it's that kind of a difficult situation our firefighters are facing right now. You have a tremendous buildup of fuel in these steep canyons and on these steep slopes, hard to get to except by aerial means to try to put out some vegetation that wants to burn. It's not worried about burning, and we want it out, so Mother Nature is, in a sense, kind of working against us in that sense. Mother Nature wants the vegetation to burn for the next generation's good. We don't want to fire at any time because that affects our buildings and our people.
And Pat, let me just say, there were a couple moments there where I wasn't hearing you too clearly. It got better towards the end there. I think your mic was a little away from your phone. But let me just ask you, just context-wise, Monica Munoz told us earlier from SDFD that they are working basically on the ground at all angles from above as well. Even some of what they're doing is just wetting the brush around so that if and when the smoke or the fire gets to that wet brush, it won't spread as easily. Just talk to us a little bit from your vantage point and from your insight, what that does when they're able to kind of wet that brush before the fire gets to it.
Well, certainly, we think of water for putting out fires, but it also can prevent in that sense that something is wet. I think we've had those experiences maybe in the fireplace or at a campfire where you try to light a fire and the wood is damp or the branches are damp as opposed to having them be dry. And the more water or the wetter something is, the harder it is to ignite it. On the other hand, a big fire like this with the size of these flames, it dries out that external water very, very quickly, unfortunately. I mean, it's worth doing to try to hinder the fire any way possible, but that water can dry up quite quickly and get back to the plants and get the fire continuing.
Pat, the fire is one thing. Let me ask you about the smoke. As the smoke continues to spread, as we're seeing on the left side of your screen there, what kind of lasting impact and damage could that have?
Well, smoke is most definitely a health hazard. And of course, we're used to wearing masks now, having just recently finished this viral pandemic. I would recommend pulling out your good old COVID mask and putting that on. Every little bit of dirt or fine particulate matter you can prevent from going into your lungs, into your respiratory system, the better. It is one of the health hazards maybe that is not as appreciated. More and more overall on this what we call PNM 2.5, that is to say particles that are smaller than 2.5 nanometers in size. So I'm talking about really, really fine material. The more of that you breathe in or have in your system, it definitely is one of those kinds of things that saps your health and makes you not feel as well. And of course, if you're already sick, then those things can add up to even being a threatening level. So the point is that the smoke, and particularly the fine particulate matter inside that smoke, is something I'd want to keep out of my body. And if I was right in that fire zone right now or next to it, I'd be wearing my best COVID mask right now.
I asked because fighting the fire, right? You drop the retardant on top of the fire. You can kind of minimize a little bit. But that smoke, how do you fight the smoke? It's essentially, I guess, just by going to the hot spot of the fire and then just hoping the residuals pan out the way you think they will.
Well, really, there's no way to say fight the smoke per se. I think the only way the smoke's going to dissipate is with Mother Nature's help, with the wind itself. And I might add on these kinds of things, with the smoke column rising high, well, we're lucky we're not in a Santa Ana condition here where the winds are blowing strongly and really pushing these fires. With the wind column going straight up, showing we don't have that much external wind. On the other hand, fires create their own weather. The tremendous amount of heat that is released when these plants burn does not just go up into the air vertically, smoothly. It goes up in swirling masses, even sometimes fire tornadoes. And the point is that this burning fire kind of creates its own weather on the micro scale. On the scale where you and I would be standing and talking, the winds that would be blowing on us might be ones that were created by the fire. They're not going to last, at any one spot. But the main point is that you end up with a lot of rapidly changing winds on the ground level, which create problems for the firefighters.
And Pat, stay with us as I want to bring in Ava Kirshner in our weather center right now. Ava, you just heard Pat talk about this fire essentially creating its own weather patterns. Just your reaction to what Pat said and just a little bit of what you're seeing as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we are so thankful that we're not dealing with those super high Santa Ana winds right now. I want to show you what that aerial view of the fire is right now. So as you can see, as Adam even mentioned earlier, it's not a large tower of smoke. It is kind of spread out, and it is, as he mentioned, worsening the air quality ever so slightly. So as we take a look at the specific conditions at the station that's closest to this fire, it is 70 degrees out there, so that's not too concerning for firefighters. It's not super extreme heat that we've been tracking. It is on the lower side of humidity around 28%. However, wind speeds are calm. They got up to around 6 miles per hour a few minutes ago, and now they're closer to 3 miles per hour. And so that's really helping our firefighters out there. Here's the current air quality out there. As you can see, unhealthy for sensitive groups for some areas, straight up unhealthy for that area out there, and more in the moderate range. So as the professor just said, if you have them, it can't hurt to wear that mask if you're dealing with a lot of that smoke inhalation out there. Better to be safe than sorry. So as we head throughout the next few hours, we are going to see temperatures and winds die down. As you can see, getting into those mid 60s and 50s overnight, so very on the cooler side. Wind speeds might pick up a little bit, but we are tracking more moisture this weekend, so that should help with the forecast. Wale?
Ava, thank you. So normally I would be joined right now by my partner in crime, Kimberly Hunt. Unfortunately, she is stuck in traffic right now. We mentioned some of the areas of the evacuation order. The further western most area of that evacuation order was on the 805, and that's where Kimberly Hunt is currently. Kimberly joining us by phone. Kimberly, can you hear us?
Hi, Wale. I can,
Hi.
and you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. I'm after about an hour and a half trying to make my way south. I'm just approaching Mission Valley now, and how far north I was only about 10 miles north of this point. And I see the smoke now across the freeway, but I think the real message is above the merge, the 5805 in Carmel Valley, any north-south thoroughfare, whether it's the 5, the 805, or try to take the 805 and get over to the 15, every one of them in GPS at this moment is solid red. And right now, after an hour and a half in the car, I have 8 miles, and it's going to take me 45 minutes.
And we just saw
It's solid traffic. You stop, you crawl, you stop, you crawl, you stop, you crawl.
Kimberly Hunt, you're just a couple miles away from essentially the epicenter of the fire, and as we're kind of looking on our screen right there, that's right where Kimberly is, the 805 there, northbound near 163. Again, just a couple miles away from the epicenter of the fire. Do you see anything from where you are? Are you able to see smoke? What are you able to see fire-wise? Anything from there?
I absolutely see the smoky, sooty clouds that have formed all the way from the point of the fire that I can't see yet because I haven't opened up right in Mission Valley over the 8 yet. So I can't see where the fire is burning, but the entire smoke cloud goes over the 805 and as far west as the eye can see right now toward the ocean. You can definitely tell that it has the residue of the fire in the clouds hanging over the freeway.
All right, Kimberly Hunt, thank you so much. Please drive safe, and we will see you soon. Take your time, no rush. We have things under control over here. I do want to bring in Mark LaTulip back in. You just saw and heard from Kimberly Hunt. Stuck on the 805, Mark, and she's going to be stuck there for a little bit. Do we have Mark? All right, we'll check back in with Mark just a little bit. Let's reset for you here. We're going on a couple hours right now of this brush fire that has been burning just south of the 8 and east of the 15th. The evacuation order has now spawned dozens of acres here. Okay, I'm here, and we do have Mark LaTulip back. Mark, we just heard from Kimberly Hunt. She's on the 805. She's stuck. I will ask you this again. She's not going anywhere anytime soon, is she?
No, Wale. Yeah, she's gonna be stuck in that for a little bit here. All those southbound commutes that are normally maybe a little bit later in the day, pretty heavy. Very heavy right now. This has really affected all those. When I look at these maps, it's right in the center of everything for us. All those southbound commutes and those eastbound commutes. It's one of those eastbound arteries that is right in the middle. So. You can still circumvent on the 94 and the 52. 52 has minor slowing, but if you can make your way that direction, your northbound sides are not doing too badly at the moment. So if you want to turn around and get off the freeway and then circumvent either up north to the 52 to get to that Santee and maybe down to El Cajon if you're heading that direction. And likewise, south of the 8, the traffic isn't too bad. So if you are already past that, just keep going down to the 94. Or if you are close to crossing the 8, that would be my suggestion.
And Mark, we've been here on the air for a couple hours at this point. When we first started talking, when we first came on the air, we didn't have any evacuation orders. That quickly spread to a little bit south of Montezuma and Fairmont, some of the roads around there, Lila, Lorraine, 49th, and then as the minutes and hours went by, that quickly spread all the way to basically the 805, all the way east to SDSU. That large of an evacuation order, and who knows, maybe it will continue to grow. We hope not. We heard Monica Munoz say from SDFD that they will be there, planning to be there through the night. The rate of speed that we're talking of the spread of the evacuation order, is that at all concerning to you?
You know, it always is, because you don't want to wait to the last second. So if you're gathering things right now, go ahead and expedite your way out of there so that you can get ahead of any emergency, right? We do this in the hopes of getting everyone out efficiently, and that you go from the hot zone out to the cool zones, and right now even those normal heights and closer to the because right now your roads are clear through most of that heading south, and that's really going to be in that area. I'm looking at the maps right now. Heading in a southerly direction is definitely where you want to go from that, just because of the amount of roads towards the freeway are far less. You've got a lot of more avenues heading south and west to get out of there and make your way to a safer spot.
All right, Mark, we're going to check back in with you in just a little bit. I do want to bring Spencer Swisher back in. He was at SDFD. Last time I talked with you, Spencer, you were talking to grandmas and astronauts and kiddos eating Kit Kats, getting ready for some kind of Halloween event that they don't know about yet. What are you seeing and hearing at this point?
Well, parents are finally being able to get in through some of the traffic to come pick up their kids. There are significantly less kids right now here on the San Diego State practice football field. Sort of an odd scene to begin with, where you have people with their kids picking up their kids who are wearing costumes for Halloween. You've got some other college-age students practicing football, running routes in the right-hand corner, and then over the top of them, you're seeing helicopters flying and picking up water for water drops. All in all, though, not as chaotic or as much scrambling as maybe before, because there's quite a few less students here at the moment, but a lot of elementary school students just waiting for their parents to come pick them up. There comes another drop over here. I'm going to have, like, if you look over here in the far left-hand corner, you can see the kind of the helicopter that's been flying over doing some of the water drops here. The kids don't seem to be paying much attention to it now, but probably a factor in that is that they've been here for over an hour. Initially, they were over at Viejas Arena, and then they brought them here. Of course, they started at the elementary school. So parents are doing their best to get through some of the traffic congestion that's pretty heavy over here to come pick up their kids. We'll keep monitoring this situation, though, as soon as things start to clear out over here. Live at San Diego State, I'm Spencer Swisher, ABC 10 News.
Spencer coming to us live with a man in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles costume behind him, but we're not talking about Halloween. We're talking about the rate of this fire that is spreading right now. And joining us now is Madison Weil. She is on Montezuma Road. Madison, any updates from where you are?
Yeah, guys, we just kind of wanted to show you the progress that crews have made here on scene. See if this helicopter is about to make a drop. We've been watching it get very, very close to this home that we've been seeing today. Wow. That is amazing. This is the home that we've been showing you guys over the past half hour. That's a great example of what we've been watching over the past 2 hours. These helicopters coming in so close to these homes up on this hillside, making those targeted water drops, not only with water, but also with that fire retardant. So if you look at that home that we've been showing you, you can see the pink fire retardant on the back side of that home, as well as if we zoom in really close there, you can even see the fire crews up on that hillside working so hard to protect that home and several other homes on this hillside. It's been a really remarkable and collaborative effort that we've been watching here on Montezuma. Again, this is the spot, the street that's closed down because of all of this. We're right at the intersection of Montezuma and Fairmount, and this is just what we've been seeing for the past several hours. All of these targeted drops, as well as crews monitoring hot spots here on the ground. Let's see what this one's doing here. That's the sound that means they're about to drop. There we go. Yeah. Another great example of a very proactive effort that we're seeing here on scene. We've been seeing the water as well as the fire retardant. As I've mentioned, you can see the pink remnants up on this hillside where they're targeting not only the flames that are close to the homes, but also just all of the greenery around those homes to make sure that as these hot spots are popping up, that they're unable to get closer to their homes. So let's go take a look at this side of the street as well, just because this is something that we've been monitoring. You can see the palm trees here. It did not make it earlier today, but this entire hill has been popping up occasionally with these flames. We've been watching crews be very targeted in their approach and trying to make sure they don't creep up the hills, because on this side of the road as well, we have another street of homes. So As I said, it's been a really collaborative and remarkable effort. We've seen Cal Fire, we've seen San Diego Fire, we've also seen a lot of law enforcement. Just in the past hour, this entire street, let's take a look down here, Gerald. You can see all of the law enforcement and ambulances that have arrived. We've seen probably the number of vehicles here on Montezuma double just within the last hour. As again, law enforcement is out here trying to make sure that people are respecting road closures, and then more fire crews are arriving because again, this is this major artery that they're using to get to where the fire continues to spread. So an amazing effort. We've watched the progress, we've seen the impact. We'll send it back to you guys.
A couple quick questions for you, Madison. You just mentioned ambulances. I have to ask, is there any concern of health issues with either the firefighters or anybody in that area? Have you seen anybody going into the ambulance?
We haven't seen anyone going into the ambulances, and we haven't heard of any injuries. I'm sure at this point a lot of it is proactive. It's a very active scene, but we're going to continue to monitor that, and we'll update you on what we hear.
And also, real quick, Madison, we just saw a couple drops, and sounds like maybe another one come in shortly. And just the 2-minute live shot that you just did, how often are these drops coming?
So we've watched the frequency of these drops increase over the past 2 hours. I'd say they're coming in probably about once a minute. They'll circle like this, they have to go refill. Oh, here we go, there should be another one right here. When we hear that noise, that's how we know they're about to drop. So again, really incredible how close these helicopters have been getting to the hillside to make sure that they're dropping that water and that fire retardant exactly where they want it to go. It's been incredible. We've been able to see, where some of these flames will pop up on a hillside, and just within minutes, a helicopter will be there dropping in that exact location. You can see again, just where the pink fire retardant is currently on that hill. That's just a recent drop we saw. And they're not only dropping close to the homes, as I've mentioned, but also down the hillside a little bit as a proactive measure to make sure that none of these flames are creeping up even closer to these homes. So let's take a look over here. It might be dropping again. We've watched this hillside get increasingly more smoky over the past couple of hours, that's for sure. This hillside has been a great example of just dozens of hot spots that continue to smolder, but they'll come by, drop that water, drop the fire retardant, and try to make sure that those hot spots don't flare up into something a little bit more concerning, because again, this canyon where we're at has homes on both sides. So it's been this epicenter where we've been seeing all of this action, because the last thing anyone wants to see is any damage to any of these homes. So live on Montezuma, we'll send it back to you guys in studio.
All right, Madison Law joining us from Montezuma Road. We did see a couple of rainbows there from when they had those drops every few couple minutes that she mentioned. And as you can see there, the smoke is all throughout that area, as the firefighters and ambulances that she mentioned are all throughout that scene. We will reset here at the top of our 4 o'clock. We appreciate you joining us for our special coverage.
ABC 10 News starts now with breaking news.
That breaking news in College area near San Diego State. In the last 3 hours, a fast-moving brush fire has led to evacuation orders as crews work from the air and on the ground to douse those flames. It is burning in an area with palm trees and other very dense brush, fueling this fire, burning already dozens of acres. Good afternoon, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I am Wale Ali. It is good to be with you. We have been tracking this fire all afternoon long. Montezuma Road is shut down in both directions. The fire sparked in the area of Montezuma Road and Fairmont Avenue around 1:45 this afternoon. So we're going on a couple hours of monitoring this. San Diego Fire says the canyon behind Lucille Drive in the Talmadge and Alvarado Estates area is burning. Firefighters are making progress.
We do have crews all over this area. Let's first send it to 10 News reporter Ryan Hill, who is live near some of those homes. Ryan.
Lindsay, Wale, good evening. You can see we're over here on Lila Drive, right off of 49th Street, as crews are working on the ground and in the air to work to try to put out this fire. We've been seeing crews mopping up hot spots here at one of these homes, and every so often we're starting to see these airdrops happen here. You know, the smoke is definitely pertinent here. It is filling our nostrils as we are out here on Lila Drive. We were told by some crews folks who live on this area, everybody has been evacuated out of this area as crews continue to spray the hillside and we've also seen them spray some homes to protect the places where people live and they call home from this fire, from inching up the side of this canyon, as we're seeing another water drop over here off onto the side of this hill that where Montezuma Road is. Again, we're over here on Lila Drive as we're starting to see crews work to mop up this hillside, put out some of these hot spots. We were actually in front of this pile of logs that they're spraying right now, probably about 25-30 minutes ago, and that heat that was emanating off of that hot spot was something to definitely feel. And then feeling that wind shift and having the smoke blow all around us was definitely intense. These crews are working hard to make sure that people and property are staying safe during this wildfire, as we're seeing another water drop over off in the distance near Montezuma Road. Guys, back to you.
So much. Right now I want to send it out to 10 News reporter Madison Weil, who is live for us near Fairmont. Madison, we've been talking all afternoon long. Give us an idea. I want to ask you about the air quality where you are. There's a lot of smoke in the area, as well as you mentioned a lot of drops every couple minutes. What are you breathing in right now?
Yeah, well, it is rather smoky in the area, as you'd expect. We've been having a lot of those windy conditions pushing a lot of this smoke, and some of this, as you can see now, this hillside is completely black and charcoal. So anytime the wind comes through here, it's pushing that towards us. So anyone in the area who has any kind of breathing condition or any kind of challenges, highly recommend wearing a mask. We do want to just give you an update on, again, this house that we've been babysitting out here and watching them do incredible work to protect. This is probably the home that's closest to the flames that we've been seeing here on Montezuma Road. If you look up there closely, you can continue to see these crews hard at work to protect that home from the hillside, from the ground. And then we've been seeing these incredible helicopters and planes coming in to attack this fire from the sky as well, making those targeted water drops right up on that hillside near the perimeter of all of these homes. We have another helicopter coming in right here. If you guys take a look, you see if they're about to drop. Yeah, so this is what we've been seeing on repeat for about the last 2 hours. I'd say the frequency of these drops has increased. We've been seeing them come by about every 1 to 2 minutes or so, alternating between this hillside and then the hillside on this side. Again, this is a canyon, so we have homes up on the perimeter. You can see the silhouette up there on the hillside, and then homes on the other side of this hill as well. So we've been watching them come through to not only drop right where the homes are, but also proactively even closer to this roadside, just to prevent any of these hot spots from flaring up and climbing up the hillside, because that's the other concern. We've been seeing a lot of these smoky hot spots. You can see some flames even right there. And when a big gust of wind will come through here, sometimes we're seeing that flare up a little bit. So definitely something that firefighters are keeping an eye on. As I've said, in the last hour or so, we've seen many more crews arriving here on scene. Probably 5 more engines just showed up, as well as a couple paramedics. So a very active scene here. They're doing an amazing job keeping these homes on either side of us safe.
Thank you, Madison, for those updates. We really appreciate it, minute by minute. Let's now send it out to 10 News reporter Spencer Swisher, who is live at Viejas Arena, which is being used as an evacuation center right now. Hi, Spencer. Looks like we just lost Spencer.
We will get him back shortly. Spencer is, it looks like we have him back. He is at that.
Oh, you hear me? Okay, yeah, so we're actually across the street now from Viejas Arena at the San Diego State football practice facility. This is where they've brought a lot of the elementary school students for the last couple of hours now, waiting for their parents to pick them up. One of the challenges with this is not necessarily that the fire is really close by, but it's the traffic that's caused by it. So a lot of the parents are waiting to get over here to come pick up their kids. A little bit of a weird scene as well, because you've got all the kids and some of the parents and the teachers dressed up for Halloween, as well as the water drops and the helicopters flying above them, many of them not paying attention to it because they've been sitting out here for so long now. And then you've got actually some football players or people who are playing football on the field as well, kind of in the other corner. And then there's some police officers as well, making sure that everything goes smoothly. We described it sort of as organized chaos earlier because they clearly have a handle on the situation, but they're waiting for parents to be able to come pick them up here at the practice football facility. And initially they were at Viejas Arena on the other side of the road here on campus. Lindsay, Wale.
Organized chaos indeed. I'm sure a lot of those parents, as you mentioned, are sitting in traffic. All right, Spencer, thank you so much. Right now I want to check in now with Ava Kirshner, who is here. Get a look at the weather conditions in the area, some of the wind speed, some of the temperatures. What do you got, Ava?
Things are rather mild out there, thankfully for firefighters. As you can see, 69 degrees out there at the location of the fire. Humidity is climbing a little bit since the last few minutes, and we do have some very calm winds. It's really only 4 miles per hour out there, southwest winds, so it's not too concerning. I do want to talk about air quality, as Madison was talking about as well. It is on the moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups side. So if you are close to the fire, getting into that smoky area, again, as the professor mentioned earlier, masks are always available. And if you're dealing with a lot of that smoke inhalation, it might be a good idea. Here's the temperature hour by hour. So temperatures will be dropping quite soon down to those 60s and then 50s overnight. And as you can see, wind speeds and wind directions will be changing as well. So as we move throughout the evening, things could pick up close to the 10 to 15 mile per hour mark. But as we move throughout the evening, we're getting back into those single digits and closer to the calmer wind speeds. Something else we should notice, humidity. So as we take a look, El Cajon area is a little bit on the closer side to what we're measuring. Around 29%, 31% is the station that's reporting closest to the fire. And then it's obviously a lot higher on the coast, and we do have winds off the coast blowing into the fire. And as you can see, here's the temperatures out there, around 70 degrees, upper 60s, and they're only getting cooler as we move throughout the night. And as we take a look at the cloud futurecast, we don't have too much moving in tonight. However, this weekend we have another system moving in, also bringing those rain chances, going to be dampening up the earth a little bit, so that could help for the future. And then we'll also throw things to Mark Latulippe with traffic.
Ava, thank you. You just saw him there. Let's check in now with CHP Officer Mark Latulippe, who has an update on the traffic impacts. All right, it sounds like we don't have his audio yet. Let's check back in with Officer Latulippe, but we do have Geologist Pat Abbott joining us by phone.
Hi, Dr. Abbott. This is Lindsay Pena.
Hi.
Hi. If you could just set the scene one more time for us, because you live in the area that is affected right now. So tell us what you're seeing right now.
Yes, indeed. This is the exact area I grew up in, the conditions I grew up in. And all those little canyons we played in when we were little kids and all, going in and among all the bushes and all, that's the chaparral. It's a native vegetation type in Southern California, and it's a type that's unusual in this sense. Since we don't get much rain, don't have a lot of water around here, these plants have evolved with fire necessary for them to germinate. That is to say, these plants, when they burn down, then their seeds will germinate and another generation can grow. Not what we're used to, of putting a seed in the dirt, watering it, having a plant sprout. No, it takes fire for these. The point I'm mentioning here by that, or bringing up the plant history, is that, it makes it all the tougher for firefighters. This isn't just your everyday garden variety plants. These are plants that are part of their life cycle is to burn. And so plants aren't upset, so to speak, making it more difficult for the firefighters. And when you look at those steep slopes, some of those shots you have just been showing, up Montezuma Road, where you see that gray hillside, steep hillside going up to the homes up above there. My goodness, when fire starts going up a slope, that's when it's most dangerous, because as that heat rises, it dries out the vegetation above it, making it easier to ignite and burn. And then by the time you get to the top of the hill, backyards, think about backyards. There's cushion chairs, there's wood fence, maybe a wood picnic table, wood patio. There's all kinds of fuel, I'm going to call it. The things we put in our backyards are fuel. So they can lead the fire from the slope directly to the house, just over your own possession. Not to mention the fact that at the same time, the fire is lifting up embers, orange little burning embers or burning twigs, which can start fires in other places. Again, including on a lot of the belongings and possessions people have around their homes. So what the firefighters have done in terms of stopping that fire going up that steep vegetation-choked hill and not burning down the houses there, frankly, is remarkable. That is a very difficult job to do under very difficult conditions. The only good news about this is we didn't have the Santa Ana winds. We didn't have the overwhelming winds, which could have made that work so much more difficult than it is. It was hard work as it is, but at least it was possible. It was something with their abilities they could achieve. And boy, we all owe them a big, huge vote of thanks.
Pat, forgive me for this, but I'm going to ask you to take off your expert and your geologist hat for a second. I just want to ask you on a personal level. You said you grew up in this area. As you see the images on your screen, what emotions does it evoke?
Well, the emotions, one, the kinds of things everybody has here. You know, it's the concern about, yourself, your friends, your neighbors, and all of that. But I think the thing that really kicks in is that really is more in the background. It kind of kicks in that it's a time for action. It's a time for clear thinking. It's the kind of a thing that we have experienced before, things you've thought about, much like what we talk about with earthquakes all the time, too. In other words, these are conditions that are not unknown to us, and we need to have our minds prepared. And my mind tends to go into an action mode, into a decision-making mode, to help not only myself, but those that are around me.
Dr. Abbott, thank you so much for your insight and your expertise and just sharing with us your feelings this afternoon. We're going to check back in with you in just a little bit, but we want to go right now back to CHP Officer Mark Latulip. He has an update on the impact to traffic, which is a lot right now.
Yeah, Lindsay, very, very heavy on those southbound commutes right now, as well as obviously around on the 8. The eastbound 8 is very, very heavy, and the westbound is actually starting to be affected as well. But you're taking a live look at the 805 in Mission Valley. As you can see, very heavy from the Golden Triangle on the 805 all the way down to the 8. The 163 is oddly heavy as well between the 805 and the 8. So I think people are trying to make their way around it. Just please pack your patience tonight. It's just going to take a little extra time to get yourself around. This is the view from the 8 at Fairmont, where we have a closure to southbound Fairmont is closed. You can still exit and go northbound on Fairmont if you need to, but that is definitely causing major delays in that intersection. That's that spot right there where the fire originated. I'm CHP Officer Mark Latulip with your 10 News Time Saver Traffic.
Thank you so much, Mark. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with more of ABC 10 News at 4. A close call in Bonita Canyon where some neighbors were briefly ordered to evacuate their homes. Earlier today, a lot of drivers could see all that smoke in the air from this fire. According to San Miguel Fire and Rescue, that fire sparked just under where the 125 and 54 divide on Quarry Road. It burned around 12 acres before crews were able to knock it down, as crews fought on foot and, as you can see, in the air. Officials say the water drops from helicopters really made the difference in getting a handle on this hillside fire. Crews are remaining on scene to mop up the area. Neighbors who had to be evacuated said they're glad it was under control so quickly.
It was really coming fast and strong from the canyon. And so they told us to get ready to evacuate. And we got all our documents, all our pictures, everything that you can't replace. We put them in suitcases. And just as we're loading everything, they gave us the word that we didn't have to evacuate because the wind has shifted and they were getting the fire under control.
Good news for those homeowners. No one was injured and the cause remains under investigation tonight.
All right, guys, let's take a look at our weather conditions. So out there, we have been tracking a lot of that smoke and a lot of those wind speeds out there. And I'm going to show you a graphic right now that kind of, as you can kind of see, it's not really a giant tower of smoke like we've been seeing. It's kind of spread out. So we are seeing some air quality worsen because of this. And as it spreads, we're continuing to track the current conditions right at the station next to the fire. So 69 degrees out there. Humidity is around the 30% mark, and that's pretty similar for other areas close by. And as you can see, wind gusts definitely on the calm side, around 4 miles per hour as reported as the closest station to the fire. So as we get a better look at that air quality, you see some places in that moderate range and then other ones getting close to the unhealthy for sensitive groups and unhealthy range. So as the professor mentioned earlier, you know, if you are in the area that is close to the smoke, it cannot hurt to wear some of those masks, especially if you want to prevent smoke inhalation. And if you feel like there's some lingering smoke as you send your kids out to trick or treat tonight, you know, there might just be something to keep in mind. So as we look at the temperature and wind hour by hours, overnight it's going to be getting quite cool into those mid 50s down there and could possibly even be dipping into those 40s. Wind speeds are going to be shifting and wind direction also shifting as well. And as we head throughout the afternoon, wind speeds could be picking up a little bit closer to 10 miles per hour to 15 miles per hour. And then as we head throughout the afternoon into the evening, getting into the single digits and definitely calming down. So talking humidity right now, or humidity, excuse me, right now, again, as I mentioned earlier, close to that 30% mark. It got a little bit higher over the last few minutes, so that's probably a good thing. And temperatures across the board right now, a lot of 60s and 70s out there, so definitely not too hot for our firefighters. I want to take a look at this because as we head throughout overnight, we're not seeing a lot of that moisture move in. However, as we move towards Friday and as we move towards Saturday, you just saw it there, we are tracking another system that's going to be coming in and dumping some rain on us close to Saturday night, and that could moisten the ground and hopefully prevent some fires in the future. So as we look at the 7-day for the next few days, there's that system on the weekend, 65 degrees on Saturday, and then for the next few days we will be cool near that 70-degree mark for our coastal areas, inland areas. Also pretty similar, 68 this weekend as that system comes through the next few days in those mid 70s. Mountain areas on the cooler side, 60 degrees today and tomorrow, and dipping into the 50s on Sunday with that next system. And here's your desert forecast out there, touching on all the areas before we get back to our fire coverage. As you can see, 78 degrees as we move towards tomorrow. And then just talking about the traffic out there, you know, it's pretty bad, so just be safe on those roadways. We are still tracking the winds and fire conditions should be dying down soon, so should be rather good for those firefighters. Wale,
a lot
Lindsay.
of red in that area. Okay, Ava Kirshner, thank you so much. We are going to keep monitoring this fire in the college area, and we will be right back after this quick commercial break.
Welcome back. We continue to track a brush fire burning in the College area near San Diego State. Evacuation orders are in place.
And our team has been on scene since it broke out in the 1 o'clock hour. Let's check back in now with 10 News reporter Madison Weil, who is live near Fairmont. What are you seeing out there, Madison?
Yeah, guys, we're still here on Montezuma, right near Fairmount Avenue, and we've been watching crews arrive in significant numbers here on scene. Just in the last 10 minutes or so, we've watched crews start walking up this hillside, trying to clear some of this brush. As we've been showing you over the last 2 hours, we're in this canyon with a lot of this dry, flammable brush on these hillsides that backs up right to these neighborhoods, right to these homes. So you can see them working hard. We've been watching some of this brush catching on fire over the last 2 hours, but then again, these crews have been attacking not only from the ground, but also from the sky. So this is the home we've continued to show you. I want to show you the progress that they've made. Those crews are right there in that family's backyard trying to protect the perimeter from these flames that we've been watching creep up this hill. The other thing that we've been watching, as we've been showing you, all of these helicopters, all of these planes making these targeted drops all over this canyon. And the other thing about this specific area where we are, it's really been double duty. We have homes on this side of the canyon and we have homes up on this side of the canyon. And crews have been working very hard to keep things under control, to keep flames from moving up this hillside. We've been having these fluctuating wind gusts out here and seeing some of those hot spots flare up. But as soon as they do, again, these crews have been so relentless in their attack from the ground and the sky, trying to keep things under control out here. We're live in Montezuma. Madison Weil will send it back to you guys.
Madison, thank you so much for that reporting. We'll be right back with more of ABC 10 News at 4.
You're watching ABC 10 News at 4.
Welcome back to ABC 10 News at 4 o'clock. We continue to track that canyon brush fire in the College area that's forced evacuations this afternoon.
Firefighters are getting a better handle on it. This quick moving fire has burned dozens of acres, though, near San Diego State. It broke out off Fairmont Avenue and Montezuma Road just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. Mandatory evacuations were ordered east of Montezuma Road, north of Monroe Avenue, south of Alvarado Canyon Road, and west of Hewlett Drive.
We want to go back out to 10 News reporter Madison Weil, who has been out there from pretty much the beginning, monitoring things on Montezuma Road. Madison, give us the latest right now.
Lindsay, Wale, we wanted to show you this side of the canyon as well. We've been watching fire crews doing an amazing job trying to keep these flames under control despite some of these windy conditions that we're seeing here in the canyon. But we've been seeing a lot of examples like this, these little areas that are smoldering and just a slight turn of the wind and that can flare up into an active flame that can move up this hillside. So we've seen that. If you take kind of a wider view of this entire hill, you can see about a dozen different areas that at one point were smoldering a bit more. But again, crews have been coming through here not only on the ground but also from the sky to knock down those flames and prevent them from crawling up this hillside to these homes. This is what firefighters have been working so hard all afternoon to save, these homes up on this perimeter of this side of the canyon, as well as the homes up on this hillside on just the opposite side of Montezuma. Again, they've been working relentlessly. You zoom up to that home that we've been showing you all afternoon. You can see the yellow vest fire crews up there right now with their hoses trying to prevent those flames from creeping up into the backyard. You can see the pink fire retardant on the backside of that home. That's where we've seen these incredible water drops coming in, so targeted, making sure that they prevent any kind of fire or active flames from actually reaching the perimeter of this neighborhood up on the hillside. So again, fire crews, it's been an incredibly collaborative effort. We've seen CAL FIRE, we've seen San Diego Fire, we've seen local law enforcement, we've even seen Oceanside Fire. Oceanside, this fire truck just rolled up within the last half hour or so. Again, a very concentrated and collaborative effort trying to protect the homes on both sides of this canyon. We've been watching crews just do some remarkable work out here. We'll send it back to you guys. Madison Wildlife from Montezuma.
Thanks, Madison. Let me ask you real quick. We're hearing what, I could be wrong here, but it sounds like a chainsaw. Are they also cutting down trees in that area? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, that's what we were just showing you. We'll show you again here in the last 10 minutes. This crew has gone up on this hillside. They're trying to cut down some of this dry, flammable brush. Again, we're in this canyon, so you can see the kind of foliage that we're dealing with out here. A lot of this dry, overgrown brush, that's the perfect fuel for a wildfire. So we've seen them arrive in the past, I would say 20 minutes or so, with those chainsaws coming through with not just chainsaws, but also hoses to make sure that none of that is catching fire. Because if any one of those pockets catches on fire, this entire hillside could go up in flames. So that's why we've, again, seen this very proactive approach, not just with these guys on the ground, but also with the fire retardant from the sky, trying to make sure that we create that line around the homes just up that hillside.
All right, Madison, thank you so much for that latest update. Now, let's go back out to Mark Latulip with an update on the traffic impacts, which have been significant.
Absolutely, Lindsay, and we're still feeling it right now. In fact, anywhere around this fire on your freeway is very, very heavy at the moment. Checking in live right at that Fairmont exit, looking south. That is the only closure that we or Caltrans are controlling at the moment. But off the 8 freeway, you can exit at Fairmont and go north. But as you can see, you cannot go south into that zone, into that hot zone of where they're fighting the fire and making sure that it does not spread any further. And on the 8, as you can see, both directions are affected by this between the 5 all the way to the College area. 805 southbound is extremely heavy. It's dark, dark red, as well as now the 52. So I think people are trying to make their way across, circumvent the area, either north or south, but do pack your patience tonight. It's going to take a little extra time. I'm CHP Officer Mark Latulip with your 10 News Time Saver Traffic.
Mark, thanks. Traffic is one impact of the fire. Another is weather. Let's check in now with Ava Kirshner, who is joining us with a look at the weather conditions in that area. Ava.
Yeah, you know, they're more on the mild side, and thank goodness, because anything that helps those firefighters is what they need. So right now, temperatures in the area around 68 degrees. We have seen this temperature go down since we've been on the air. Humidity around 28%, but the most thankful thing is that we do not have those Santa Ana winds right now. 5-mile-per-hour gusts in the area that is closest to the actual fire, so that should be helping firefighters battle this out. As we take a look at the temperatures, they're not too concerning as well. Upper 60s, low 70s in the area, and then of course, it is going to be getting cooler. Marine layer is going to be moving in as we head overnight, so that's going to help the firefighters out there battling this blaze. Relative humidity in the area, so around the area, El Cajon is getting close to 30% humidity out there. Obviously, it's getting higher on the coastal areas because the marine layer is moving in, and it should increase as we head overnight. Now, air quality is something we need to talk about because it has gotten a little bit worse over the past few hours or few minutes, even, as I should say. Moderate out in those areas close to the fire, even areas close to Alpine, getting into the unhealthy for sensitive groups and even closer to unhealthy. So, we've been talking about it. Maybe if you need that mask out there, if you're getting a lot of that smoke inhalation, it might not be a bad idea to use it. As we head throughout the next few hours, again, temperatures will be cooling down and wind speeds should be dying down as we head towards dinner time as the sun starts to set. And we're going to be seeing a shift in the direction of those wind gusts as well. So across the county right now, it's not too bad. It's rather calm near the fire, and it should get even calmer. We'll continue to update those weather conditions for you. Wale?
Ava, thank you so much. We will, of course, continue to track these conditions and the fire as well and bring you any updates throughout the evening.
Turning now to other local news, a business now has some more time to move after ABC 10 made phone calls to Sandag, the owner of the property. A street auto service was told to relocate in less than 4 months because of an MTS bus project. ABC 10 News' Jane Kim spoke to the business owner who says he has more time now to figure out the details.
19 years is a long time, and it's like I have a great location. I have a lot of clientele down here. So it's a blow.
That's Scott Ward. He's been the owner of A Street Auto Service in downtown San Diego for almost 2 decades. But that run almost came to an end.
This is my whole livelihood. I've worked hard for this thing.
A few days ago, Scott got this notice from Epic Land Solutions saying the owner of the property is terminating his tenancy. He's got 120 days to get out. The owner of the property, the San Diego Association of Governments, or SANDAG. The reason Sandag wants to push out Ward's auto business? A more than $1 million MTS downtown bus stopover project. Here's the thing. Sandag says that project is nowhere near moving forward. It hasn't even been funded yet.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of equipment, a lot of fixtures. I mean, then the new building, you have to have signage. It has to be prepped. Racks have to be put in. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a transition.
On Thursday, I reached out to Sandag about the notice. A spokesperson told me the agency made a mistake and sent out the notice too early. They're not close to moving forward, and Scott will have more time. Welcome news to the business owner.
I still have to find a location to relocate. It's going to require more than 120 days to actually do something. And to move a shop, it's not that easy.
Scott says he knows he'll have to move eventually, but needed the extra time because he has a lot of equipment to transfer to a possible new location. Ward says moving is going to be a challenge.
Having to shut this down and then reopen over there, that's going to be too hard.
In downtown San Diego, Jane Kim, ABC 10 News.
House Speaker Mike Johnson is now denying he wants to repeal the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. During a campaign event in Pennsylvania Monday, he said there would be massive health care reform if Trump wins the election, but didn't give specifics. Johnson backtracked today, saying if former President Trump is reelected and Republicans control the House, he would not try to kill the law. He said his original comments were taken out of context.
No, this has been ascribed to me. That is not what I said. You can pull the recording of the event in Pennsylvania. That's not what I said. Look, we are laser focused on improving health care as we are every area.
During his presidency, Trump tried and failed to repeal the Affordable Care Act. According to government data, the ACA has provided health care coverage for nearly 50 million people since 2014. Today, Vice President Harris spoke out against House Speaker Mike Johnson's suggestion that Congress may try to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. Trump has tried distancing himself from that.
Georgia, the state on the front lines of mis and disinformation last election, is taking steps to protect the election and the people who run it. Scripps News disinformation desk correspondent Liz Landers has some more insight.
In Muskogee County, Georgia, Nancy Boren has been in charge of elections for nearly 3 decades, but her job has changed dramatically in the last few years.
The people resisting hand counting should envision January 6th happening at their houses Once mobs and rioting breaks out, they take on a life of their own.
When did you receive that?
About 2 weeks ago. It concerned me, but I didn't take it probably as seriously as I should, and I think that's a trait that many of us as elections officials have. We receive these, but we don't take them seriously because we can't believe that it would ever happen to us.
In 2020, Georgia became a hotbed of conspiracy theories and disinformation about the election process and results. Election officials and poll workers across the state were targeted with harassment and even death threats. Now, security procedures have been updated.
This is what we send to the precincts. We have them color-coded.
That's where the ballots go. Boren gave us a tour of her facility, starting in the front office with the panic buttons.
But this would be the front one that someone would hit, but then the second one, hopefully, we don't want them to remain in the front. If they have to mash the panic button, we want them to go to safety. There's one. It's funny because Talisha was like, I hope I can reach that. One reason why we put it in here is staff could come in here, mash the panic button, and lock the door.
She's working hand in hand with local law enforcement as well.
What services will you be providing on Election Day to Nancy's office?
The sheriff's office is in Georgia is responsible for all government buildings and elections. So our patrol units, they constantly rove from precinct to precinct all day. Every, 30, 45 minutes.
Did you ever think as a sheriff that this would be part of your job, securing election